Hello everyone, welcome to MED-JUNCTION. I am SNEHA BANKAR, first year MBBS student at Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Medical Sciences, Wardha. And today in this lecture, I am going to talk about the Flexor Retinaculum topic. This is a topic from upper limb, which is a very easy, at the same point a very important topic. So today in this lecture, we are going to learn about this topic, the Flexor Retinaculum. Beginning with what is the meaning of Flexor Retinaculum? The Flexor Retinaculum, it is a strong fibrous band which bridges the anterior concavity of carpus and converts it into a tunnel, the carpal tunnel. So what it is, it's a band. It's a band which is bridging the concave structure. What is carpus? The carpal bones is forming a concave structure in the wrist. We know there are 8 carpal bones arranged in 2 rows, 4 below, 4 above. They are forming a concave structure. Above that concave structure is a band, a strong fibrous band, which would be attached to the carpal bones and forming a bridge over it. And then if you imagine that this is a concave structure formed by the carpal bones, then this would be the flexor retinaculum bridging over it, and the space which it is forming, the tunnel which it is forming, we are calling it as a carpal tunnel because the carpal bones are involved in it. It is present in the wrist joint, so that is why we are calling it as a carpal tunnel. So this is what the flexor retinaculum means, and that is why the Latin meaning of this word is to hold back. Why? What does it mean to hold back? If it is a tunnel, there would be various structures passing through it. There can be tendons of various muscles. There can be arteries, nerves. So these structures which are passing through this tunnel, they need to be held over there. When you are doing the movements of wrist joint, they should not dislocate, they should not crash over each other, and to make safe movements, these structures should be held in a place. And to hold those things, we have this flexor retinaculum. The function of flexor retinaculum is to hold these structures in that carpal tunnel, and that is why the Latin meaning of this word is to hold back. Okay, so we have understood what is the meaning of flexor retinaculum, a band which is bridging over the carpus, a carpus forming an anterior concave structure, bridging over it, attached to it the flexor retinaculum, a strong band, converting it into a carpal tunnel through which there would be various structures passing, and to hold those structures in that place, that is the function of flexor retinaculum. Latin meaning of the word is to hold back. Okay, next thing, you can see this diagram. In this diagram, we can see this is the radius bone, this is the ulna bone, which defines what is the lateral side, what is the medial side. This is the lateral side where there is a presence of radius bone. The ulna bone is situated towards the medial side, and this are the carpal bones, the 8 carpal bones arranged in 2 rows, which is forming the concave structure, and above that this green structure is our flexor retinaculum forming, and between this would be the formation of a tunnel. So let's see what are the attachments of the flexor retinaculum. Rather than reading all this text, we will be understanding it through a diagram. Now this diagram will just tell you about the attachments of flexor retinaculum. So we have to define what is lateral side, what is medial side. Always remember while writing the papers also that you have to mention the sides while drawing a diagram. If you are not mentioning what is lateral side, what is medial side, the diagram has no meaning. So this we have taken as a lateral side. On the lateral side we have a radius bone. This is our medial side, and there is a presence of ulna bone on the medial side. So when you define what is lateral, what is medial, you can correctly draw the carpal bones. Starting from the lateral side, as we have said, 8 carpal bones, 2 rows. The first row, starting from the lateral side, is the scaphoid bone. Next is the lunate bone. Third is triquetral bone. And the last, this small P-shaped bone, is the pisiform bone. The second row, again starting from the lateral side, this is the trapezium bone. This is trapezoid. This is scapate, and this is hamate. Now we have drawn all the 8 bones first, the 8 carpal bones, and what it is forming is a perfect concave structure. Above it, this green structure is flexor retinaculum. This green structure is flexor retinaculum bridging over it. You can clearly see in the diagram that the bones over that, this flexor retinaculum is bridging over it, and the middle structure, the middle space this forms is called as what we have said is a tunnel, is a carpal tunnel. Now we can clearly see the attachments of flexor retinaculum. On the medial side, it is giving attachment to the pisiform bone and the hook of hamate. On the medial side, pisiform bone and the hook of hamate. On the lateral side, clearly seen in the diagram, is the crest of trapezium and tubercle of scaphoid bone. Again repeating, the medial and lateral attachments. To the medial is a small pisiform bone attachment and the hook of hamate. On the lateral side, scaphoid cut tubercle and the crest of trapezium. Then, on either sides, this flexor retinaculum has slips. First, before drawing the slips, we would also mention the sets of muscles present. This, what I have drawn, is the thenar eminence or the muscles of thenar side. What is thenar side? See, the lateral side we have our thumb. On the medial side we have the little finger. So this lateral side we have the thumb, and that thumb side, the three below that there are three muscles, the set of three muscles present, which are together called as the thenar eminence. And to the medial side, similarly towards the little finger, we have the set of three muscles again, which is called as the hypothenar eminence. Both of this eminence, the thenar and hypothenar, arise from this flexor retinaculum itself. Now on each side, this flexor retinaculum is giving two slips. One, on the lateral side it is giving a deep slip. On the medial side it is giving a superficial slip. So let's see in the diagram. On the lateral side it's a deep slip, that is below, inside towards the bones. This flexor retinaculum in towards the bones below, deeply it is giving a slip. On the medial side it is giving a superficial slip. So what is this lateral deep slip? Why it is so? The lateral deep slip will be it's a tunnel. It will be allowing the tendon of flexor carpi radialis to pass through. We will see these muscles, what are these muscles, and in the relations it will be clear to you all that what muscles are passing or what tendons are actually passing through this, deep to it or superficial to it. So just for time being, just remember that lateral deep slip, through this tunnel there would be the passage for the tendon of flexor carpi radialis. The medial superficial slip, it's a tunnel for ulnar vessels and nerves. We would see this also in the relations. Just remember one more extra point, that the medial superficial slip is called as volar carpal ligament. So this diagram is self-explanatory for attachments. So whenever you get a question, maybe for enumeration of attachments or a short note, you have to first write what is flexor retinaculum. As we have mentioned, it's a strong fibrous bone which bridges the anterior concavity of carpus and converting into a tunnel, the carpal tunnel, Latin meaning of the word. And then you would be moving to the attachments. Drawing this diagram is suffice, and then just you can enumerate the attachments. Once again, let me repeat what are the attachments. After mentioning the lateral and medial side, we would be drawing the 8 carpal bones, starting from lateral to medial: scaphoid, lunate, triquetral, pisiform. Second row, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate and hamate. And then you would be drawing, showing the particular attachments, remembering that we have to show the attachments, properly drawing the flexor retinaculum ka band, which would be the showing its medial attachments to the pisiform bone and hook of hamate, its lateral attachments to the crest of trapezium and tubercle of scaphoid. Then drawing the next step would be drawing the thenar eminence on lateral side, the thenar group of muscles, and to the medial side the hypothenar muscles. Two slips which are given by the flexor retinaculum: a lateral deep slip which would be the tunnel for flexor carpi radialis ke tendons, and a superficial slip on the medial side, which is called as, the other name for the superficial slip is volar carpal ligament, and this would be the tunnel for ulnar vessels and nerves. The second point which we have to see for the flexor retinaculum are the relations of the flexor retinaculum. Now this is a diagram which shows the complete relations. We would be learning the relations superficial to the slip, superficial to retinaculum, and deep. So first we would be seeing the superficial structures, the structures passing superficial to the flexor retinaculum, which is its superficial relations. Again, starting with marking the sides, this is lateral, this is medial. What we have drawn earlier, the same attachments, we have to draw the same skeleton. The skeleton of the diagram would be same. The carpal bones, the retinaculum bridging over it, the two slips and the group of muscles. So starting from lateral to medium, again scaphoid, lunate, triquetral, pisiform, the small P-shaped bone over here which is palpable. We can palpate this. Then in the second row, again from lateral side, we have trapezium, trapezoid, capitate and hamate. Then you would be drawing again a bridge. This is flexor retinaculum. Attachments के साथ attachments दिखने चाहिए. Then we have the thenar group of muscles, hypothenar group of muscles, superficial medial slip, lateral deep slip. So the skeleton of the diagram remains the same. Now we will further continue to see the relations. Before seeing the relations, because see, this is a tunnel through which the tendons of muscles are going to pass, we need to first know the muscles of forearm, the flexor compartment of forearm. उसके सारे muscles के नाम याद होने चाहिए. But remember that all the muscles of flexor retinaculum, all the muscles of flexor compartment of forearm is not going to pass through this flexor retinaculum. So you have to remember that कि उसमें से कौन सी मसल्स के टेंडेंस है जो इसमें से पास करेंगे. लॉजिकली देखेंगे तो जो मसल्स के टेंडेंस आर गोइंग टूवर्ड्स द पाम, अगर वो मसल्स को पाम की तरफ जाके पाम को सप्लाई करना है, पाम के अंदर जाना है, वही मसल्स के टेंडेंस इस टनल के अंदर से जाएंगे या ऊपर से जाएंगे. इफ़ दे आर ओरिजिनेटिंग, if the muscles of forearm का flexor compartment के muscles are originating and inserting, getting inserted in the forearm itself, they are definitely not going to pass, not superficially, not deep to this retinaculum. So first let's see the muscles of flexor compartment of forearm. We are just going to enumerate those and not going to study them in detail. Their detailed video would be a different video. Just enumeration. The muscles of flexor compartment of forearm, the two parts, there are some superficial muscles and there are the other deep muscles. So we have 5 superficial muscles and 3 deep muscles. Just enumerate, I'm going to enumerate them. Superficial muscles are pronator teres, flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, flexor digitorum superficialis, flexor carpi ulnaris. So these are the superficial group of muscles of flexor compartment. Out of this 5, the second, third and fourth, that is total only 3 muscles के tendons will pass either deep or superficial to this flexor retinaculum. Why? Again the same point, because ये जो दो है, pronator teres and flexor carpi ulnaris, they are going to originate and insert in the forearm itself. So they have no role to go to the palm. So they will not definitely never cross the flexor retinaculum. The pronator teres is originating from the medial epicondyle of the humerus and inserting on the radius, middle of the shaft. So it will not pass retinaculum. Similarly, flexor carpi ulnaris will also not pass the retinaculum. But the flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, which is going to pass this retinaculum and forming a palmar aponeurosis in the palm, it has to pass the retinaculum to reach palm. And even the flexor digitorum superficialis, नाम में ही लिखा है digitorum superficialis, a superficial muscle which is going to cross the retinaculum and supply the digits. Digitorum means the digits, the fingers of the hands. That would be supplied by this muscle for their movement, and that is why to reach those digits, it has to cross, maybe deep or superficial, that we will see the retinaculum. Then coming to the deep muscles, the deep group of muscles of the flexor retinaculum, there are 3 deep muscles: flexor digitorum profundus, flexor pollicis longus, pronator quadratus. Now, out of these 3, again only 2 are going to pass the retinaculum. Pronator quadratus is originating and inserting in the forearm itself. It is not going to cross the retinaculum. Flexor digitorum profundus. Digitorum, again it has to reach the digits. It has to give its tendons and branches to the digits or the fingers, and thus it has to cross retinaculum. Flexor pollicis longus. What does this word pollicis mean? Wherever you see the word pollicis, it is a thumb. Pollicis ka meaning is thumb. So if this muscle is flexor pollicis longus, it is going to cause the flexion of thumb, and to reach the thumb, it has to cross retinaculum. So I hope this chart is showing you what are the muscles of flexor compartment of forearm, and out of those superficial and deep group of muscles, which are total 8 in number, only 5 5 muscles के tendons we are going to see, or they are coming in the relations of retinaculum. The other 3, pronator teres, pronator quadratus and flexor carpi ulnaris, are not going to come in the relations of flexor retinaculum. So first remember these 5 names which are going to come in the relations of flexor retinaculum. And now we are ready to see the relations after knowing all these muscles ke name. Okay, now this diagram showing us the relations lateral side, medial side. We have seen that the skeleton is the same. The basic skeleton of the diagram remains the same. Now quickly moving towards the relation. First we will begin with the relations of superficial side, means that we will first deal with the structures which are passing superficial to the flexor retinaculum. So superficially we have only one tendon which is passing superficial to retinaculum. Other than the tendons, we have 3 nerve and 1 artery or one set of vessels which are passing superficially. So which tendon? You have to always draw the diagram with the color code. So I have used a green color to show the tendon, yellow color to show the nerve, and red color to show the artery. So this green color tendon is of flexor compartment ki muscle, that is palmaris longus. Palmaris longus, as I have told you, this muscle is going in the palm and forming the palmar aponeurosis, and thus it has to cross retinaculum. It is passing superficial to the flexor retinaculum. So one tendon, the relation of the superficial side, the first relation is palmaris longus passing superficially to the flexor retinaculum. On the either side of flexor retinaculum, we can see 2 yellow structures. Yellow means nerve. So we have 2 nerves passing superficial to the flexor retinaculum. One is a palmar cutaneous branch of ulnar nerve. We know that ulnar nerve, जिसका course, जिसके distribution and supply will learn in a separate video. यहाँ पे जस्ट रिमेंबर दैट अल्नार नर्व के 2 ब्रांचेस होते हैं, एक सुपरफिशियल एक डीप. तो उसकी जो सुपरफिशियल ब्रांच जो पामर एस्पेक्ट को सप्लाई करेगी, दैट पामर क्यूटेनियस ब्रांच ऑफ अल्नार नर्व इज पासिंग सुपरफिशियल टू द फ्लेक्सर रेटिनाकुलम. सेम वे, same thing, the palmar cutaneous branch of median nerve is also passing superficially. So 2 simple names. Palmar cutaneous means palmar is a palmar aspect of our palm or our hand. So it has to supply the palmar aspect of the hand. So that is why it is called as palmar cutaneous, means it is superficial. It is supplying the cutaneous, the skin over the palm. So palmar cutaneous branch of ulnar nerve and palmar cutaneous branch of median nerve. These 2 nerves are also passing. These 2 branches of nerve, actually not the nerve but the branches of nerve, are passing superficially to the flexor retinaculum. Again, one key point to remember here is, in this diagram of flexor retinaculum, you will never get radial nerve. Just remember that radial nerve is the main nerve supplying the extensor compartment. And when we are learning the flexor retinaculum, there would be the branches which are supplying the flexor compartment ke muscles. You will only get the ulnar and median nerve here. The radial nerve you will be seeing that in the extensor compartment. Whenever you will study the extensor compartment in the subsequent videos, you will see the radial nerve is supplying that thing. But here you will get only ulnar and the median nerve. Maybe superficial, maybe deep, but only the branches or the main nerve will be ulnar and median. So we have seen 3 superficial structures: palmaris longus ka tendon, palmar cutaneous branch of median nerve, palmar cutaneous branch of ulnar nerve. And then the last point for the relations in superficial structure would be that which will be passing under the superficial slip. We have seen 2 slips. So उसमें से जो medial side पर superficial slip है, उसके अंदर पास जो करने वाले structures है, that would be also in the superficial structures के relations of flexor retinaculum, and they are the ulnar vessels and ulnar nerve. So this is a ulnar nerve and this is ulnar artery which is passing through the superficial slip of flexor retinaculum. The tunnel, the space which is formed by the superficial slip of flexor retinaculum, and this would also as a relation of superficial structures. So 5 structures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the 5 structures which are passing superficial to the flexor retinaculum. Again, enumerating: tendons of palmaris longus, palmar cutaneous branch of median nerve, palmar cutaneous branch of ulnar nerve, and the other two structures passing through the tunnel formed by the medial superficial slip of flexor retinaculum are ulnar nerve and ulnar artery. These 5 relations are the relations of the structures passing superficial to flexor retinaculum. I have just enumerated them here, and the other important point which we have already seen during the attachments is that the thenar and the hypothenar muscles are arising from flexor retinaculum, and that is why we have drawn this in the basic skeleton of our diagram. That on the lateral side we have shown that thenar is arising from flexor retinaculum. On the medial side we have shown that the hypothenar is arising from the flexor retinaculum. Now the second part of relations come, which is the structures passing deep to the flexor retinaculum. Now the flexor retinaculum के deep भी pass करते हैं various tendons. We have said that out of those 8 muscles, the 8 muscles of flexor compartment, 5 muscle के tendons pass कर रहे थे deep में. एक को हमने देख लिया superficial side से वो pass कर रहा है, तो there would be the remaining 4 tendons muscles, 4 muscles के tendons which are passing deep. Okay, so we have seen that there was a lateral slip, a lateral deep slip of flexor retinaculum. This slip is on the lateral side, means on the side where there is the radial bone. So the tendon passing through this is derived from the same name, the flexor carpi radialis. You can easily remember lateral side पर deep slip है, lateral side पे हमारी radius bone होती है, तो उसी के नाम से आता है एक टेंडन, एक मसल जो थी फ्लेक्सर कार्पाई रेडियालिस, जो हमारी सुपरफिशियल मसल थी, उसका टेंडन पास करता है इस टनल में से, दिस टनल विच इज फॉर्म बाय द lateral deep slip of flexor retinaculum. So this muscle का टेंडन, it is flexor carpi radialis. Now in this space we have 3 more tendons. This is the flexor digitorum superficialis का टेंडन. Flexor digitorum superficialis, which is a superficial muscle of flexor compartment, it gives 4 branches in the palm. It is going to supply the 4 digits of the palm, so it is going to give the 4 branches, and that is why I have shown here it is marked by the 4 dots of the tendons, and these 4 dots are the tendons of flexor digitorum superficialis. Similarly, the profundus, which was the deep muscle of flexor compartment, it is also going to supply the 4 digits, and similarly like the flexor digitorum superficialis, it will give the 4 tendons in the palm. Thus again these 4 structures are the tendons of flexor digitorum profundus. This tendon is only one is remaining now, which is flexor pollicis longus, which is going towards our thumb. So these were the tendons which are passing deep to flexor retinaculum. This is the group of flexor digitorum superficialis के tendons, flexor digitorum profundus के tendons, flexor pollicis longus का tendon, and this is the flexor carpi radialis on the radial side of bone. Last structure passing deep to the flexor retinaculum is a very important nerve, which is median nerve. इसी के साथ रिलेशन में हम मीडियन नर्व के रिलेशन में हमें क्लिनिकल एनाटॉमी भी पढ़ेंगे एट द वेरी फाइनल पार्ट ऑफ द वीडियो. ओके, so these were the relations of deep side, the deeper side, the structures passing deep to flexor retinaculum. Now here you can see the pink structures. What are these pink structures? ग्रीन तो टेंडन थे, येलो नर्व्स थी, रेड आर्टरी थी. What is pink? What do you see? These are the bursa. What do you mean by bursa? So bursa, it is a fluid filled sac or a fluid filled cavity which is almost present where there are the joints. Why? What is the function of bursa? If the bursa is a fluid filled cavity and it is present in the joints, I have given you the hint, it is present in the joints. You can simply correlate that it is present to avoid the friction. At the joints, there is the maximum movements taking place at the joint. So various tendons, various muscles passing through there. So if this bursa was not present, just imagine no bursa and there are various muscles passing through the joint. Joint is giving a lot of movement to in our body. So if you are continuously moving it, there would be many chances of friction between the muscle tendons, between the various arteries, nerves passing through this, between the muscles. So when they are rubbed against each other, there is a friction in this. It can cause a damage, and to avoid that damage, to avoid that friction, we have the presence of such bursas, which are the fluid filled sac or fluid filled cavity. So as you can see, there are various tendons passing through this. And it's a wrist joint. We also need bursa here to avoid the friction. Again, same thing, lateral and medial, radius bone and ulnar bone. The bursa are also named from these bones only. अगर बर्सा मीडियल साइड पर है जहाँ पर हमारी अल्ना बोन होती है, that bursa is called as ulnar bursa, which would avoid the friction between flexor digitorum superficialis and flexor digitorum profundus. And on the radial side, where the radius bone is present, the lateral side, we have a radial bursa. So simply an ulnar bursa and a radial bursa passing deep to this. So you have to also enumerate the radial bursa and ulnar bursa as the structure passing deep to the flexor retinaculum. So these are the structures passing deep to flexor retinaculum. We have seen median nerve passes, 4 tendons of flexor digitorum superficialis passes. Again, the 4 tendons of flexor digitorum profundus passes deep to the retinaculum. Tendon of flexor pollicis longus, ulnar bursa, radial bursa, and tendon of flexor carpi radialis. These were the relations, the structures passing deep to flexor retinaculum. Again, this diagram is self-explanatory. You have to draw this diagram, label all this correctly, and you can simply enumerate the structures in 2 subheadings: structures passing superficial, structures passing deep to flexor retinaculum. Okay, we have completed all the parts from the flexor retinaculum, and the